Joined right now by our sports director. Great man, Jeff Hathhorn. Jeff, how you doing today? Good morning.
Morning, guys.
Jeff, we want to talk about a little bit of everything with you. We've yet to touch on the Steelers today, so at some point we will. But we did just do the Bradenton Bucko breakdown, so let's keep that theme going right now. The Pirates rotation seemingly going to be their strength. I think the bullpen could wind up being one too. And I really like this shrewd pickup of Justin Lawrence, who was dreadful outside or dreadful at Coors Field, but really good outside of Coors Field.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not the only split that is like that when you pitch in Colorado. But he comes with that kind of three-quarter to sidearm angle. Brings a different look from that bullpen. There's still a couple of question marks, but they've got some good young arms, Kyle Nicholas being another one. I know people may remember Kyle Nicholas on that first skiing start, but they feel like he's really settled into that bullpen role and has a good arm. And we'll see about Bednar. I mean, was last year because he didn't have the spring training and he rushed it and just kind of threw off his entire year? Or are we going to see the David Bednar that was an all-star? Obviously, at that back end is going to be key. But, yeah, I think that bullpen has the potential to be pretty decent. Let's face it, most everybody's bullpens are guys that you have a little bit of questions
Yes.
about. It's just about how do you maneuver these guys into roles.
Jeff, 4 hits in 5 games and 1 home run for Henry Davis. Could this be finally the year that he breaks through? And if he does, and we are anticipating him having a decent year, like at what position? With Joey Bart, Endy Rodriguez, obviously coming back this year, like where can Henry Davis be infused in his lineup whenever the season starts?
Man, that would be a nice problem to have.
Yeah.
If he's hitting by then, I think some catcher, I think some DH at times, so you give Kutch a day or two off. But I see him primarily behind the plate, and then you move Endy maybe out, and you rotate Bart with Henry Davis, and Endy plays a little first base or somewhere else. They just even haven't. I mean, from what we see, they haven't worked him anywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, other than catching. So catching him DH seemed to be the option, and man, that would be great. I mean, as spring goes on and pitchers start using a little bit more of their arsenals, and Davis is still hitting like that, yeah, that would be a nice problem to have. Because what is the biggest concern we all have about the Pirates going into the season? Where are they going to get offense from? If he's hitting the ball, you got to find a spot for him.
Joey Bart hit one like 750 feet last night, too. Oh, my God. That thing was annihilated, Jeff. When I think about the catching position, I mean, I think it's pretty simple. He's got to be the guy based on what he did last year. Mm-hmm. Do you think that they're going to force Henry Davis into playing a lot? Not necessarily behind the plate. I mean, I know what you just said there about, maybe once or twice a week if that would work out. But are they going to give him a ton of opportunity at the big league level? Or do you think he would have to get some at-bats accrued at AAA?
Well, let's see how the next few weeks go, and how he's hitting a little bit later in the spring training. If he forces his way onto the roster, I mean, who says Endy has to start in the big league club?
Right.
I mean, he might take Endy's position, and the word to Endy is, listen, we want you to go work on some things, maybe play a little first base down in AAA, get a couple different positions in, because he does have versatility. He's played a little outfield, even played second base. So I think that's the situation you're in. I know there's a potential log jam at catcher, but things just have a way. I mean, knock on wood, but injuries are going to happen. Things are going to happen where this stuff is going to work itself out.
Jeff, Darius Slay, is he going to be a Steeler?
I don't know what his demands are. I know he has interest in going back to Detroit. I know there's a Terrell Austin connection with Darius Slay. And he's also mentioned, like, hey, maybe I'll take a little less and be with Philly. I mean, could he be a Patrick Peterson? Maybe. If you're the Steelers, I don't know I get it. Slay's experience, he was a great player. I'm sure he'd be a really good mentor to Joey. I guess I'd have to see what the money is, but you'd either have to believe in Trice, probably bring someone else. I don't know if Slay Is Slay still an everyday corner at 34? And if he wants decent money, is that the right investment for this team?
Jeff, if we get to next Monday and Justin Fields is not a Pittsburgh Steeler by that point, do you think he goes elsewhere? Because I kind of feel like they need to get it done now.
I think ideally you get it done now. And even some of the reports we've seen about the New York teams interested, just remember his agent is out there working every channel he can to make sure that there looks like there's more interest even if there isn't. I mean, New York teams have higher draft picks. They have options in the draft, especially the Giants. That doesn't mean there isn't interest. If he does get a chance to have the legal tampering, it's going to at least make the Steelers pay more than what they could before they would sign him. I would love to get this deal done. Just because they haven't to this point, I'm not going to write off the fact that they aren't going to get it done before that legal tampering. But I think now is when the negotiation starts to ramp up and those conversations become a lot more serious and the dollar figures become a lot more concrete. I just don't know. If you're the Steelers, what are your options? Mm-hmm. I mean, you said, Art said they wanted someone that youth or age was a factor. Well, if you don't take Justin, what are your options? Are you going to sign Sam Darnold to huge money based on 1 year? Are you going to go again to another bridge year with Aaron Rodgers or bringing Russ back? I just don't see how that helps you. I still believe that they have time for Justin. But to your point, if he gets out there and gets to meet and hear contract offers of other teams, and maybe not even that, but get to sit in a room and say, here's the offense we'd have for you. That's where I would worry if I'm the Steelers.
Jeff, last thing here for you. Ricard Raquel, will he be a Penguin at 4 p.m. on Friday?
I hope not.
What would the logic be in keeping him?
I don't see I mean, he's got a couple of years left on his contract. I don't think this team is in a 1 year turnaround to get back to be a Stanley Cup player. So if there's a team that's desperate, and look, there's a lot of teams out there that are in the playoff hunt, some of whom have not been in it for a while, or some that might think, listen, we could win the East adding a guy like Raquel. And there's been talk that first round and more is a potential return for Ricard Raquel. I know people get worried about what's Sid going to think. They traded Jake Gensel.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And Sid signed an extension. So if you trade Ricard Raquel, who, remember, as great as he's been, has also had droughts that have been over months long, I think you're striking when the iron's hot. I think this is something you have to do unless that whole well dries up. But I don't see that. I mean, every list you look at, the worst is he's the bottom half of the top 10 of the best players available. That's right. Jeff, appreciate the time as always, buddy. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Thanks, boys.
Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff Hathhorn. Check out what he's got going on, 93.7thefan.com.